The Madman! Welcome to more cards from Saviors of Uldum. We're gonna start off with the Paladin theme, which is 1 health Paladin cards. Is this going to be a 1-star meme, or are they actually good? Well, starting with Brazen Zealot. It's a 1 mana 2/1 for Paladin. Whenever you summon a minion, gain +1 attack. This is a lot like Murloc Tidehunter, but it doesn't only count Murlocs, and it's a 2/1 instead of a 1/2. The 2/1 instead of the 1/2 makes the Zealot quite a bit worse. However, if you're really optimistic, you could think of this as potential Magma Rager for 1 mana. I think though, due to the nature of drawing this card in the late game as a really bad draw, as well as just its 1 health fragility, might make this card not really played. There are perhaps better 1 mana cards to contest the board early, like Argent Squire and Mecharoo, both of which, by the way, have only 1 health, which could come in handy later. Sand Wasp Queen, Paladin 2 mana 3/1. Battlecry, add 2 2/1 Sand Wasps to your hand. The Sand Wasps are 1 mana 2/1s. So this is a lot like Druid's Acorn Bear. For 1 more mana, you're getting the potential for 3 more attack. Seems like a decent trade-off. This card is really flexible. You could think of it as 2 mana for a 3/1, or 3 mana for a 3/1 and a 2/1, or 4 mana for a 3/1, a 2/1, and a 2/1. Some decks have AoE, some decks don't. Seems really solid to me. To complete the set of 1 health cards, don't know if there will be more, but that would be really pushing the theme if they printed even more. There's Sawhead's Pride, 3 mana Paladin card, 3/1. Death Rattle, draw 2 1 health minions from your deck. One of the reasons why aggressive Paladin decks, such as Secret Paladin, didn't pan out is because they ran out of fuel very quickly. And then when you're late in the game, you only have low-cost minions as your draws. Sawhead's Pride gives you a little bit of staying power. I could see something like Paladin turning into a zoo-type deck. Run Magic Carpet, you have a bunch of potential 1-cost minions in the deck, between 1 health minions sometimes being 1-cost minions, such as Argent Squire and Mecharoo, as well as Sand Wasp Queen, giving you 2 2/1s. These are clearly tools meant for a aggressive deck. Or are they? Sawhead's Pride does have the potential to make it into a combo deck, similar to how Crystology is the card draw in a combo deck. Crystology draws Novice Engineer and Blood Mage Thalnos. So does Sawhead's Pride, so the two do step on each other's toes. However, Sawhead's Pride also gets something like Loot Hoarder. When you think about how Crystology used to be 2 mana, and at 1 mana, of course, it's ridiculous, so really the effect should be considered worth 2 mana. You're getting a bundle of a 3/1 alongside of the 2 mana that the Death Rattle is worth. Seems like a great deal to me. Psycho Pump, 4 mana Priest card for a 3/1 Battlecry, summon a random friendly minion that died this game, give it Reborn. If this was in any deck that had good tempo minions, then I would be terrified. If you simply have a 3 mana 4/3 dying going into the Psycho Pump turn, and I mean a 3 mana 4/3 vanilla, then on 4 mana you just play this and you get a 4/3 with Reborn alongside your 3/1. That's like 7/6 worth of stats. If you count the Reborn as only 1 health, Priest needs to either have a game plan of going Big Priest, where you stall and you don't play minions, and you only selectively play the big minions, and then you resurrect them with Psycho Pump. And there's been very few of the small minions. In the past, you didn't bundle the Resurrect effect with a aggressively stat minion either. Like this card is Resurrect, plus you get a 3/1, plus you get something Reborn, which is a good deal, which makes it look more like it's practical for a Death Rattle style Priest, aggressive Priest. Perhaps you play Injured Blade Master on 3, and then it dies, and then you Psycho Pump for the 3/1, and you summon a Blade Master, which is a 4/7, and it even comes back as a 4/1 once it's dead, and you get to heal the Blade Master. But just so it's not emphasized that you need exactly Blade Master, playing this on Evil Conscriptor is pretty good. You have your Evil Conscriptor die, you play your Psycho Pump, you get the Evil Conscriptor back, Evil Conscriptor dies, and then it gets Reborn, and then it dies again, so the Psycho Pump was worth 2 Evil Conscriptors for worth 2 lackeys, which is really good. There's also Ziliax. Ziliax is insane to get with Psycho Pump. Well, really, any card that costs 5 or more is insane to get with Psycho Pump. The main challenge for Priest is, will there be enough cards of this quality to make a aggressive Priest deck work? And people have been saying that Psycho Pump, it's too bad that you can get Psycho Pump from it because once it dies, it gets into the res pool. The interesting thing is that even if Psycho Pump resurrects Psycho Pump, that's a 4 mana for summon 2 3/1s, one of which has Reborn. A 3/1 with Reborn is basically Scarlet Crusader, so you're paying 1 more mana on top of Scarlet Crusader to get another 3/1 on top. That's pretty good. We've got Plague of Madness, a rogue 1-mana spell. Each player equips a 2/2 knife with poisonous. We've seen a card like this before in 2 different ways. One was Weapons Project, which gave both sides a 2/3 weapon and 6 armor. Second was Envenom Weapon, which is a rogue 3-mana spell, which gave your weapon poisonous. So often you would combine this with using your hero power, and then that's a 5-mana, give yourself a 1/2 knife with poisonous. So we're skipping all of that, and we're just giving 1 mana to give knives to both players. This seems best fit in an aggressive deck. While this is symmetric, you get the first use of it. Also, you're an aggressive deck, so you probably have more health than the opponent to use. Thirdly, you could even play this with Ooze and Harrison, similar to how Weapons Project was played. And indeed, if the meta were ever a weapon-heavy meta, you could actually play Plague of Madness, similar to how Weapons Project was played, in order to destroy your opponent's weapon. So Plague of Madness, really interesting card. I actually feel very scared by this, honestly. One of the answers to tempo decks running you over was to play a big taunt. And if you play a big taunt and your opponent answers with Plague of Madness and like uses the other mana effectively, they get rid of your big taunt, they hit you in the face for a lot, and then you might not have enough health to remove their stuff. Very scary. Finally, we have Plague of Murlocs, 3-mana shaman spell. Transform all minions into random Murlocs. Plague of Murlocs is effectively a devolve, but not just any devolve, it's a super devolve. Most Murlocs have a very poor stats, so you would be happy to have most big minions turn into Murlocs. The average Murloc stat is around a 2/2, which makes this a lot like Poison Seeds. Plague of Murlocs is a little bit better in that it doesn't trigger death rattles, and it costs 1 less mana. 1 less mana is a big deal. Given that it's 2 health on average, you could even combine it with Lightning Storm to actually kill all of the opponent's stuff, if they had a bunch of stuff. Furthermore, you could run this sort of AoE mass removal in a Murloc deck. You may not mind turning your bad Murlocs into different Murlocs, you may not mind putting Soul of the Murloc onto your cards, and then once you have lost a bunch of your board, you turn your 1/1 Murlocs into random Murlocs, which are bound to be better than 1/1 Murlocs, while also hitting your opponent's board. Given how much AoE Shaman has, it's possible that they put in Plague of Murlocs as an AoE supplemental card. You set up Plague of Murlocs, and then you use AoE, or you set up Plague of Murlocs, the opponent has to commit more stuff, and then you play your big AoE. For you wild players, congratulations, this is your answer to Big Priest, but for us standard players, this is an answer to Conjurer's Calling on a Giant. Oh, they have 4 12 mana minions? Well, poof, they're Murlocs. They just got reduced in stats by approximately 6/6 per giant, which means this spell removed 24/24 in stats. Wow. So those are some cool symmetric effects. Some of my favorite cards are actually symmetric effects. I love breaking the symmetry, and it certainly looks like Plague of Murlocs and Plague of Madness are some of the easier symmetries to break.
Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tomb, they grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do.